Okay, more VK build updates, or at least attempts. Uh, One of the things I've been concerned about has been the smaller monitors on the VK machine. Um, for the size VK that I'm building from my measurements and scaling, uh, would be right in between like 410 and 430 millimeters wide, which ends up meaning that the screens are basically about, for these two smaller screens, are basically about 2.5 inches diagonal. So what I have here is two different uh, packages, basically, or monitors that have a 2.5 inch diagonal screen. These are TFT LCD screens. Ideally I would like CRT screens, but got to start with something, and if I can find the right size later on, then I can sub them in. But for now, the two that I'm working with, and they both basically cost about the same amount from how I got them. One is these Dashcam Pro setups. They have, again, like a 2.5 inch screen here, diagonal. I got this at a local drugstore. They're about 20 bucks locally. I do see them, or have seen them, on eBay or Alibaba or some other Chinese sources, basically for anywhere from $8 to $12. And part of my hope for it was that since there's so many of these things that have been produced, that maybe I'd be able to find these screens with just the controller board. So far, I have not. So this has presented some difficulties. It does work. Not really worried about the camera or the lights, because that doesn't really figure into what I'm making here. But as it is, I can record video with this and play it back. So that could be one way to do it. I can record it to an SD card, and then at least I can play it back. If not, hopefully be able to loop the video. That's not my ultimate goal. I want to actually have a live video feed of data as opposed to just a recorded feed. And in addition, this does have lithium battery, which has to be in when it's working. And in addition to that, it has a I'm on the wrong side, so it's over here. Oh, and it already started up on me just from putting the battery in. It's saying SD card full. Oh, okay, so I'll have to erase that again. But as we can see, it does get reasonable video on there. Lighting here is not fantastic, but you can see it there. I have tried some basic experiments to see oh yeah, there we go, just getting it turned off. If I could just compile a repeated or looped video on an SD card of one of the smaller monitors and put it in here, and even though it's the same format, it does not seem to want to play. So it's not recognizing it, and that could be due to essentially issues with the resolution. So I have to actually dig a little further into some of the information on this little guy. But it is a promising one, and you can get these, like I said, for fairly inexpensive. So if there is a workaround for these, they might be fantastic for this. At least as in an inexpensive screen that has decent resolution and is the right size. Okay, so we've seen that guy. The other one that's more promising is This is pretty much a field test unit for like closed circuit television, security cameras, or this one specifically was supposed to be, I need that back panel, is supposed to be for use as a monitor for a borescope. The nice thing about this, for me at least, is that the video input on this is composite video, which is something that I was looking for, just because with composite video, I can output video using the TV-Out library for Arduino, which was one of my objectives, because I can do custom video with that, and it doesn't take a huge processor to make it, and all I'm really concerned about for the VK machine is making it black and white. In the TV-Out library on Arduino does fine for black and white images. I'm still figuring it out, but that's something that's very promising. Even though this one, I have put all the screws back in this guy, but this one I have taken out all the screws, so we can see how it is inside. And yeah, big handle, but that's just for holding it. And this is the actual battery that goes in this one, but that's only really needed for field use when it's not plugged into some power source. Outside of that, it just takes a 5-volt power source, which, you know, I can hardwire it in, but right now it already has an input here for 5-volt DC, which we can just use a USB jack, which is nice. So no crazy voltages needed. And if we turn it on here, comes up with, you know, standard blue screen, so it's actually working. And I think I said it's a lucky find on eBay. Got this for 20 bucks. These retail though for $60 to $80. So again, I'm sort of hoping I can find a little better source for these screens with a composite video or composite NTSC video in, since I'm in the US. But if you just wait a minute, I will set this up with the TV-Out library, and you can see at least an example of what it can do. I haven't done specific graphics yet for the VK machine, because I basically have to write those files. The library, as it stands now, wants to use, I think it's 196 by, I can't think of the vertical alignment, but basically you have to assign it each bit on or off for the whole matrix of the display, across and down. You can write specifically to different locations, which is nice. And makes it easy. And one thing I can say is that I've seen some other projects using this TV-Out library for Arduino, where they've actually made simple oscilloscopes, which is very nice for this application, because if I want to display some type of pulse waveform, I can basically use that type of format to and borrow from those other projects. But hold on here, and we'll see how this thing hooks up. Okay, we pretty much have this set up. This Arduino is already flashed with the example sketch for the TV-Out library, and it's one of the more recent iterations of the library, so that it works with the current Arduino IDE as of, well, 2016. The original library, I think, was released around 2010, and there can be some issues with that, but people have sort of kept it alive and adapted it for the newer Arduino IDE. The main thing here is we only have 2 data pins out. Essentially, one is a signal, and one syncs the display. The third pin is just the common ground that we need to have when we're connecting electronic devices together. So, first, and there is 2 resistors here, but that's I'll link out to that so you can see what that circuitry is. It's really simple. So here we go. I'm going to plug in RCA cable. Doesn't have to be yellow. I'm just using yellow because that's generally the standard for RCA for video, whatever, transmission. So the nice thing with this is it came with a BNC connector, but it had all the adapters actually for going BNC to RCA plug. So yes, we see nothing yet, and we're hooked up to the Arduino, but I don't have the Arduino powered up yet. So here we go. Gotta pull that guy out because it's in the way, and it'll take a second to load up, and we're getting good black and white display out. See if we can see that a little closer here. Yeah, it shows this for a little bit longer than I would like, but it'll show some 3D animation, which is nice, as well as the different text fonts and shapes that we can display using this library. Okay, and this is the 3D animation, which we don't really need, but you know, it's a little reminiscent of that line going around on the right small display on the Voight Kampff machine. Obviously, it's not that's not a cube, but a little blob that's rotating or moving around. But okay, I will keep you guys updated, but I thought you'd like to see what's going on right now. Thank you very much.